friend. I subscribed to him.
We're live on both.
Oh, we're live on
Awesome,
both,
guys. Hey,
which one are we on? Where are we? Which camera?
which camera?
Front face.
Are we on?
This one.
Are we on me?
Cameras.
Are we on me? Can you turn it to Sean, so we can do the intro?
Okay, yeah. So, what is it? Oh yeah, what's poppin'? What's good in the hood?
There it is.
Yeah.
Faith, it's your turn.
Okay, that was really so.
Transition.
We
It's finals
decided
week.
to, well, for some people.
Okay, it's finals week for most of us.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, we're done with finals.
We are now.
Just
but
for
it was
the
finals
drama
week.
thing. Oh, Faith, sorry. Go ahead, speak.
Anyways.
Oh, also,
Anyway.
by the way,
We decided to do kind of like a fun, philosophical, deep question time. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to ask them a bunch of questions, basically, and they're going to answer, or maybe I'll answer, I don't know, depending on what the question is.
We're all gonna answer, right?
Oh yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Sears here. Guys, by the way, Mr. Sears
Mr. Sears here.
I mean, no, Larry's
You have
here.
the-
He's a
you have
kid.
the-
Guys, he's a teenager.
Oh, yeah, I'm a teenager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
this
heart,
is
in spirit.
The Cafe
Yes.
Youth podcast,
You have-
and he's.
What?
Your thing is like.
I know because it's annoying. I can't.
It's on a
listen to-
3-second delay.
Yeah.
Put it behind you, like this.
It's like, why am I still in my video? Here. There you go, Michael. You're live now.
Hello. Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo
What's up?
estás? That's about the only thing I remember from Spanish class, and
Yeah,
the
what's
only thing
your
I'll say
demo?
with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. We were. Like I said, it's finals
Oh
week,
yeah, la
and
frente.
we had a topic planned, but then we realized we already covered this topic. Believe it or not. So this was kind of. I mean, it wasn't necessarily like. Okay, no, it was last minute, kind of thrown together. But we will
that's
be
okay.
back to
That's
regular
okay.
schedule next time, which is in 2 weeks. So stay tuned
Yeah,
until then.
I won't be here, so love me while you still can.
Yeah, and this is Sean's last scheduled podcast with us as well.
Yeah, forever and forever.
Not
Until
for.
you
Not
come back.
for the
forever.
summer.
Just
Just for
yeah.
the summer. Yeah, that's happening. Anyways, Faith, first question.
First question.
Segue.
Does time have a beginning or an end?
God created it, didn't he? So that's when time began. Actually, with time,
Are you
okay.
gonna
Are
change
there
the
like
transition, or is it just gonna be on me the whole time?
Let's
so
get distracted.
okay? Would
Leave me
there be like
Do you want me to do
different
it?
kinds of time? Like there was the time where it was only God, and then the time
that's still time.
when he created God. So yeah, time's infinite. There's always gonna be time. Did time ever begin, or was it just there, like God?
Time started when God created the universe.
But there was the time when it was just God.
Well, because I mean, like if you think about it, our universe is like there's 4 dimensions, 3 spatial, 1 temporal. I mean, so it's kind of inaccurate to say 4, but you have 3 spatial dimensions. That's why we have like 3D objects. But there's also
Really?
1 temporal dimension, which as to our to our best understanding now is like it can only move forward.
Continue.
But yeah, I actually don't know where I was going with that. I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. And space and time are normally grouped together in one, so I don't know.
You
Like
sort of
like
have
you
a
have
little
curved
bit of
space
thing.
time for gravity and stuff, but I don't know where I was going with that. It just sounds cool.
I think time definitely had a beginning because God created time when he created the world. That's why we had a first day, a second day.
That's where I was going.
So God lives outside the constraints
I
of
know.
time. Now, I don't know if it has an end. Sorry, I'm getting like myself, it's a 2-second delay. So it depends on how God's going to work it. And I don't know. So like after he takes us to heaven, we live there for like 10,000 years. I'm not sure if that's like literal 10,000 years or if it's just like it's forever for you guys. I'm not sure if he's going to end time once we go back to a perfect world. So in that case, it could have an end, but I'm not sure if he's like, hey, the world's always going to remain under this time constraint, or if it was just something he created at the beginning.
Yeah, well, and that's where I was going to with the space-time thing. I remember now is that since like space and time, like generally in physics and stuff, they're kind of like tied together. You got curved space-time for gravity and stuff like that. I think time did begin when the universe was created, or at least when like these laws were put into place.
So when we say time, do we mean like
The meantime,
like because time was always a thing though?
was it?
Not necessarily.
Was there a
'Cause
beginning?
There was time passed when God was alone, wasn't he? Or did it, like
I mean, but that's kind of we're kind of talking about things that would be outside of the universe. Yeah? So it's like saying, is there a fourth spatial dimension? I mean, like,
There
yeah,
is,
there could
but we
be.
don't know about it.
There could be, and like, especially if you like believe in multiverse theory and all that stuff, like there could be a fourth spatial dimension, but it's not in our universe. So to us, is there really a fourth spatial dimension?
I mean, it all depends on what
I mean, we're not talking looped dimensions, but that's it.
I mean, God could have a excuse me. God could have a different like time than us, if that makes sense. Like he created time for us humans to comprehend, but his timing could be something completely different than ours. So
yeah, well, and
Yeah.
like in all the like prophecies and stuff, it talks about like days, when like really that refers to years. So I don't know. I think if anything, it would just, I don't know. Like I'm obviously not God, so I don't know how it works.
really,
you
that's
know?
crazy.
this is why we wait till God goes back.
Yeah,
It's one of those questions.
Yeah, I don't really think there's going to be a
Definite answer.
definite answer unless we could tie time to like a material thing, which I doubt we will.
Okay, we're gonna stop that question there and move on to question 2. Can people change?
Yeah.
Yes, you want to go and interject with that?
Well, I mean, like within about like 7 years, like every cell in your body dies and like gets
Yeah.
replaced. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think people can change. I mean, I myself have changed, but
I just think the longer you are one way, the harder it is to change.
I would agree with that.
People also unknowingly change. Like I can tell you that I'm probably a bit different from when I first came here. So, I changed. Even though I might not feel like it, other people can say that I changed.
I don't know. You still slap me.
Talk back to me one more time.
I don't know.
Okay, this could be a trigger warning for abusive relationships, so let's like not.
Yeah, don't hit me anymore, Sean. Okay, moving on.
Feel bad, guilt.
Sean, change.
I think we need to always leave room for people to change, like have the ability to change, because everyone does. But old habits die hard. So it's something that you have to always leave that open for people to be able to change. But also, like you mentioned, like abusive relationships, like you have to be really careful, because like if you're in an abusive relationship, that's something that's going to be really hard for them to change, and something you need to get out of. And don't be like, well, he's going to change, or she's going to change. Like you need to get out and then give them that opportunity to change and like prove themselves over time. So it kind of depends on what it is we're talking about. Like, yes, I believe everybody has the ability to change, but sometimes it's better for you to get like away from that spot versus just being like, oh, they're going to change. Like maybe for now, like get out. And then I guess I was just thinking in that situation, like I want someone to be like, oh yeah, they can change. I'm just going to stay in this abusive relationship because they're going to change. You need to get out. And then like,
because it could also be a matter of, can people change and will they change?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think that can they change? Absolutely. Everybody has the capacity to change, but will they? That's like a person-to-person, situation-to-situation basis thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we discussed that.
I did.
Our next question is: our universe real?
Oh, so you're asking for
We live in a
simulation.
Yeah.
What do you mean real?
Is it real? Like, are we actually living our
Red pill,
lives,
blue pill.
or is someone else in charge, or
I don't know.
Get that reference.
It's
are we just living a video
it's
game?
hard to answer that because you don't really have you can't see things from outside your perspective, like how you yourself see things. So if you only think about it from a personal perspective, you could see, like, you could just imagine that the universe is just you, and then everyone around you is just something that your mind made up.
Oh, that philosophy came from, I think his name was like Descartes, Descartes or something, but he
I
was
don't
a philosopher he's the one who came up with the idea, I think, therefore I am. So he said, basically, according to his philosophy, you're the only thing, you yourself are the only thing you can be sure of that exists because you're thinking, and you know that you're thinking.
How do you know other people are thinking if you're not
You don't, so you don't know that they're real,
That's what
according
I'm
to
saying.
that philosophy.
Yeah.
But
And also, oh,
go ahead.
you go.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
I'll go.
I was gonna say was one thing, like for simulation theory and stuff. One thing I've heard that so far is like the best proof that we're not in a simulation is irrational numbers. So like square root of 2 pi, because if they truly are infinite, then they couldn't be generated because infinity is like infinity. Right, but I also had my questions with like with that. So say like we started generating numbers of pi at a certain time, right? Who's to say that they just started generating before us, and so then it truly isn't infinite, but they're always just generating new numbers, and we won't be able to catch up because this quote unquote parent civilization will always be ahead of us. But
Was that one philosophy? Was that the one that like the whole? How do you know like last week was real or something?
oh, last Thursdayism.
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that one basic last Thursdayism basically is like, how do you know the universe wasn't created last Thursday? I mean, you can't really prove it to me.
All your memories.
Well,
are
yeah,
actually
all your
false.
your past memories.
But what if those were planted last Thursday when the universe was created?
How do you know they were actually real? Did you actually like?
What
you
about
say
all
you-
the scars you have from your childhood?
How do you know
and
those
stuff like
weren't implanted?
Those.
How do you know those weren't like made a part of you? They were all like,
Yeah, I mean-
okay,
I
we
don't
have to
know
make
how
a
to
life
explain it.
for all of these
I don't
people.
know.
And they're like, okay, let's implant these memories here, so they might think they're real, but they're actually not. That they're actually just created just then and there.
Would you live your life differently? Like, my mind is kind of an irrelevant question. Like, this is the world that we live in, and like, would you live it differently if it was a simulation and it just feels real?
Could
Like,
we
is-
live it differently?
I'd say
When I
Like,
get-
it's
Probably
kind
not,
of like a
because you can't do
moot
much.
point. Like, why are we? Does it matter? Like, as far as I can tell, I can touch, feel, experience things. So then, yeah, it seems real. I mean, you can go to Matrix and be like, oh, all of that's just, generated by a computer and we're just plugged in or something. It's not actually
we're
real.
batteries.
But, I mean, would I live my life differently if it was? I don't.
I mean, it's like, okay, determining whether your life is actually a simulation or something, isn't it like basically any other scientific discovery for any normal human? Like, oh, the scientists found this out. Like, do you live your life differently now that they found that out? Or you're just chilling?
Yeah.
Because I think, you find out your whole life's simulation, I feel like you might have an existential crisis at first, but then the rest you just be like, well, I mean, it's my life now. What am
You
I
either
going to
have
do?
a crisis or you become reckless
Mm-hmm.
because you don't see a point in it if it's all fake.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole simulation theory and stuff like that, like all of the theories are unfalsifiable. So like, it's basically impossible to tell whether we are or not. So it's, and it goes both ways, So you can't prove we are in one or we're not in one. So, but I mean, as it stands right now, like even if this was a simulation, we don't know it's a simulation. So why should we treat it like a simulation?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as we know, we got one life to live. So why
Just
not
live
live
it.
it the
YOLO.
right way?
Yeah.
I mean, not in the reckless YOLO, but
Okay.
do it right.
Got one life, live it right. Yeah.
Next question: is there only one universe? And I wanna go on this. No, I don't think there is only one universe. Scientifically speaking, it's like nearly impossible that there's only like one universe, isn't there, or something like
Isn't
that?
the universe ever expanding?
Yeah. So then, how is there only like one universe?
Well, if the universe is constantly expanding, how do you know that? I mean, there could be there could have been more universes, but since it's always expanding, they could have just merged together.
So you're saying there was multiple,
I said
or
they
could
could
have
have.
been multiple that just merged into one?
Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't.
I think there are multiple. We just don't know about them.
I mean, it would be pretty much impossible to.
Yeah, until Jesus comes back or God comes back.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesus. Yeah.
like, I don't know. That's tough because I guess it all kind of almost depends on your view of why the universe is here in the first place. Is were we created by random chance, or were we like created? You know, because I mean, if we were random chance, there's no way that we're the first universe. There's actually a really interesting theory I've heard, which is like that in each black hole a new universe is born. So the universe is more with physical laws, more suited to create black holes, are created more often, you know, like a natural selection thing. But then there's other ones just as like there's big bangs happening all the time. There's universes that fizzle out and die within like nanoseconds, and other ones that have 4 dimensions and 3 time dimensions. You know, it's like.
But then that leads into the. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
We can't see you.
that leads into the question of, is there other like life forms? Because if there are all these other like planets and galaxies and solar systems and whatever, there has to be some kind of other living thing, right? Like, chances are there can't not be another living race.
Well, I think I kind of just somewhat disagree with you, Michael. You said that if we're just here by chance, then there's other races. Like, to me, the probability of life happening, especially the way it is now, is so minuscule that it's impossible. Like, it's classified mathematically impossible. So to me, the chances, if it's just by chance, like if we weren't created by God, if we're taking outside of that, then the probability of there being other Earths in the universe is mathematically impossible, just because the chances of this one are mathematically impossible.
But I mean, I guess that
I think we have a better chance of having more universes if we were created, especially like if we're thinking of a God that loves to create and loves, you know, beings and creating, then why would he just stop with one? You know what I mean? Like, he lives in this universe outside of time, which is crazy to even wrap your mind around. So then why wouldn't he, create other places as well? Now, in my mind, they wouldn't be inside our same, what we call universe, like our 3-dimensional space that's ever expanding. Like, we can't ever get to the edge of it. But he could have another 3-dimensional space that would also have beings inside of it as well. And so I kind of guess it depends on what are you talking about as far as universe. Do I believe there's higher dimensions? Absolutely. Like, mathematically, you can prove there's higher dimensions and things like that. And you can, to me, whenever I start thinking about higher dimensions, then that like explains miracles and things like that. Because I think our God is a God of order, and he doesn't necessarily like break rules. He just lives outside the rules that we live inside of. So he's like, hey, these rules are set up, but I'm, like in a higher dimension, so I can like I can backdoor. Yeah, it gives them like a backdoor into it. So tumors just disappearing or whatever. Like, for us, that's completely impossible for it to just disappear from inside. But if you think about higher dimensions, things like that, like God could just remove it from a higher dimension and not ever like break skin or something. You know what I mean? Like what we would have to do for in our dimension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like there was a clip of Carl Sagan, I believe. He was explaining like a fourth dimension using like 2D versus 3D. Oh, yeah. And it was like, so these people, they live on a totally flat world, and then you go and you
Flatland.
And you go and you pick somebody up, like they've never experienced up, and then you put them back down, and then what are they going to explain to like everybody else? Like, I went
that way.
Like they can't point up because they don't know up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, God, for all we know, could be just like hovering above us, quote unquote,
Dimension.
Yeah.
In a fourth dimensional way of hovering.
Yeah,
above.
which we have no concept of.
Yeah, we can't possibly
fathom it because we're like, what? But yeah, totally. And it's super awesome to think about, and it's pretty cool to think about. That's a great way of explaining it. Whenever you're thinking about in the third dimension what a second dimensional object looks like, and then say, okay, now apply that same principle from a fourth dimensional being looking at a third dimensional being, and you're like, whoa, it's pretty mind blowing.
So
come to my class, I'll talk more.
How would you think the fourth dimension would be like? Like, would it be? Because I mean, just like for fun. I don't know why, but like, okay, what I'm thinking is, since for us we can go that way, that way, that way, that way, all around. Would the fourth dimension just be like floating here?
I mean,
just
it's-
I think of
see?
transportation, like not transportation, but like
Teleportation.
teleportation. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
I
Because
mean,
I'm like thinking of like, you know, all those movies where people phase in and out of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, but perpetually. You know, you're just constantly just everywhere.
Phasing
But
through.
well, I
everywhere at
mean,
the same
like
time.
the fourth dimension is literally impossible in fact.
Yeah,
but-
it's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
It's
just,
hard
like, how
to
would you-
explain it because you have to invent a new direction.
yeah.
Because with one dimension, there's forward and backward, so it's a line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Two dimension, there's two directions, so you can go left, right, up, down,
Mhm.
like just all in that plane. And in third dimension, it's three different directions.
Yeah, where are you going to
The
put
question
the double
is,
axis?
where's the fourth direction? And you can't point at it or explain it, just like a person in the first or second dimension couldn't explain the dimension above it.
Yeah, well, it's like,
No, but like, how would
you know, trying to fathom it, it's like, so, you know, to take a line to get to 2 dimensions, you take a line and you can fold it at 90 degrees, and to get something in 3D, you have a shape and you fold them up, right?
So
Yeah,
So it's like trying to take-
perpendicular to its axis that already exists.
Yeah, you put
So-
it perpendicular to itself. So if you take and it's like trying to take a cube and fold it almost like into
itself.
or like, but you can't really fold it anywhere because you don't have that direction to fold
Yeah.
it. So it's like, you know, you
So-
literally can't.
So like, thing of the fourth dimension would just be basically folding ourselves in
Folding ourselves
into ourselves.
No,
No?
folding
No.
ourselves in a direction we can't fathom. Like you literally
So-
can't fathom the fourth dimension. It's impossible.
Everybody in a dimension sees in one dimension lower than what they are.
Uh-huh.
So that means if you're in the first dimension, meaning your whole world exists on a line, you can just move left or right.
Yeah.
If you looked at someone else in that being, all you would see is a point, which is 0 dimension, right? And so if you move up, now we're in 2 dimensions. So that means you have like, you know, up, down, left, right. But they would look at each other and they would see everyone else as a line segment, right? So you're going down. Now us in 3 dimensions only see in 2 dimensions. That's why we can take a picture of someone and print it out and it looks normal, right? So like even though we're in a 3rd dimension, we can only see in 2 dimensions. So like I can't see the back of you currently, right? Unless you turned around. Now I can see that there's depth, but everything I see is in 2 dimensions. So now take that same concept and move out. So that means a person in a 4th dimension would see in 3rd dimension. So that means simultaneously they could see all sides of us
And inside.
and inside simultaneously, which is like unfathomable. Like how can you do that? Like inside of our universe, you can't
So you
fathom
saying it
that.
like that? I don't know why, but it just made me think: does God just see us as like blobs moving around?
I mean, he very well could. He could see us. We're probably stick people, and who knows how many other dimensions there are.
Yeah,
You know, there
there could be
doesn't have to
16
just be like a
dimensions.
4th. There could be like literally infinite, but it won't matter to us because we can only see in the 3.
Yeah.
And
But we're gonna talk the whole time about this if,
okay.
if you let me.
interesting.
So you know, it is interesting. I mean, mathematically, if there's a 0th and a 1st and a 2nd and a 3rd and a 4th,
It could go on.
then there's a 5th, and there's infinitely many
yeah.
dimensions.
Well, and then there's also like talks of like looped dimensions almost, but that's really just to make theories of quantum mechanics work. But anyways,
I can't.
Okay, next question.
Do
Do
like
the,
enough of this.
is your brain fried?
It's cool.
a little bit.
What do you want?
Do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few?
I think it depends what the needs are. Like if the needs are to live, then I think it outweighs the needs of the few. But if it's just for like personal pleasure, personal enjoyment, needs of the many, because it's almost selfish to only think of the few.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I find it really weird because the first thing you said when the first thing that came to my mind when you said that was the parable of like the 99 sheep and the one gets lost, right? Which it makes it kind of hard to kind of say, because like he went out to find somebody that was lost, and that's the needs of the few, but at the same time that was not a need or really a concern of the many. Right, so I think I agree with Trevor that it kind of depends on the issue. But I mean, at the same time, I also feel like it's also what needs of the many, because that sheep is part of the
Yeah,
many.
it's like
but
both, because he also gave up his life, like ignoring the need of himself to save the many. So I think it's both. You know what I mean?
You have to look at it from like
Yeah, from both sides.
Yeah.
Like everyone matters, so you need to think about everyone, but also everyone matters, so you need to think about the individual.
yeah,
So I don't know if that's a cop-out answer. Both.
That's the answer. I don't know.
I think one of the issues though might be with like very like oh, it's a little loose. Like the like in some situations, the needs of the few seem to outweigh the needs of the many. Like if someone in your family decides to go vegetarian, then you have to start making special meals, or you could just make everything vegetarian. And like it's an example I heard, and then people in the community, they invite you over for dinner and stuff. They're like, "Oh, it's the vegetarian family, so you're either going to be excluded, or they're going to start making vegetarian food."
or
And if they
could
start
just-
doing that,
they can
then
just offer out alternatives.
Yeah.
Like that's what I do when I go to family gatherings. Like I don't eat pork. I mean, that's the big one. I try to follow like the kosher diet or whatever, but like I don't eat pork, but my family loves pork. Like there's bacon, pork chops, ham,
I
like
feel that. My
every
family does the same.
single holiday, and that's used to be all that it was. But now my grandma, who normally prepares a lot of the food, at least for the big holidays, she knows that I don't eat pork, and I'm the only one in my family who doesn't. So she makes a small thing of turkey for me at all of them. So it's not like she has to sacrifice the food that the many normally eat. She just kind of adds something on.
So it's fun to do like, yeah, just
So
small.
it's the both.
Yeah,
So
accommodations for little like for the few, but you don't have to sacrifice the many for the few. So once again, both. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll do a couple more, I guess. Do animals have souls?
Not my cat.
Yes. Do you have a soul?
Am I an animal?
Just asking. Do you have a soul?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you living?
Yeah.
Are animals living?
Yeah.
So don't they have a soul?
Is this some vegetarian propaganda?
So if they have a soul, are you really gonna eat animals?
Yes.
Huh? You're so
Chicken is good.
meat.
My bad.
Yummy McChicken.
Yeah.
No more eating meat.
I may catch flack. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with no. Like they're living, but to me, a soul is so much more than just living. You mean like plants are living? Do they have souls? Like,
True.
so I'm gonna go with
So for a soul,
with no. Like it's like a soul to me is your character, who you are.
But animals have
I think a soul is your awareness of yourself.
It's like a consciousness.
Yes,
Like
if you
consciousness, I
aren't
like
if you aren't aware of yourself and your place in the world, then I don't know. Depends on what you define soul as. Like, because if you
Yeah, I
define
think so.
soul as consciousness, then like only humans have a soul.
well, don't animals have a consciousness? To an extent, at least.
Yeah, but how much? But there's a difference between like consciousness and like learned behavior, because like computers have learned behavior, but they're not conscious. Right. Well, because then if we,
living.
I know, but if we got, but
Okay.
if we reached like the singularity point where computers like could think and like could basically think like humans, would that make them have a soul? Would we have artificially made a soul?
Not necessarily.
So okay,
But
what
according to the definition, it
what's
just has to be aware of
the
itself.
the criteria for a soul? Like,
I think that's the
does the
hard
person
part.
have to be
Yeah,
living?
that's kind of the key
Okay,
question. Is
would the thing have to be living?
Probably.
Okay. So they'd have to have a conscience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, not
Like,
necessarily. Plants
A
don't have
conscience, like
A
of.
conscience or a consciousness?
Are you trying to
A
say plants have
consciousness,
souls?
Conscious-
I was like,
Yes,
a conscious is
consciousness.
like, yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
living
The-
does not equal consciousness, if that's what you were saying.
No.
Okay. Oh, so you're
Okay.
saying they're separate. Okay.
So they have to be living
Alright.
and also
Have
have
a
a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness.
What else would is that just emotions? Would that fall
Yeah.
under?
I don't know.
And they have to have characteristics.
So
And
that's
like a personality.
Emotions can also be learned behavior too. Like if you
Well, isn't-
if you start to feel stressed, and the last time to relieve your stress you cried because you got help, then you learn to cry every time you get stressed because you know you'll get help.
wasn't that with like everything though?
Yeah.
Everything's.
Yeah, but that's
I want
computers
behavior.
can also do that.
So are we computers?
But like
No, I'm just
natural
kidding.
emotions.
So is this world
Not
real?
learned
or are we just
emotions.
Weird, a
computers?
simulation.
I'm just kidding.
What's the fourth dimension? No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Because
not going
like
back to
computers
that.
don't know love and stuff like that.
No, but if they
Can't
were
learn.
given enough trials, I bet they could learn it.
Do cats love?
Not mine.
Yes.
Not cats.
My
but
cat
dogs.
loves-
Yes.
Actually, no, one of mine
No.
does.
So we
No,
were like
we
driving.
don't have time.
We were like
We don't have time.
driving,
We
and
don't
my
have time.
okay.
No.
We don't have time. Okay.
I wish we had a mute button.
So
We don't have time.
moral of the story is that animals have souls. Okay.
Well, I
Anyways.
think, I think with the animals have souls thing, I don't really see a reason why God would make something if he didn't care for them. Like, I know, like, Jesus, like, because there's a story in the Bible, or not the story, but, like, when Jesus was saying, God cares for the sparrows, so surely he cares for you. You know, I don't think God would create something as a machine. And I mean, to me, it also, like, do animals have souls? That also brings up the purpose of why animals were created. Right, if they were created to be like living beings and living creatures and not just for the sake of man, then I would say yes, definitely they have souls. But if they were just created to like serve man or to be of use to man, then I would be okay with saying no, they don't have souls because God created them to almost be machines. But I don't know that's why God created them.
I'm still sticking with my no, because like God created them differently. You know what I mean? Like he just spoke and was like, hey, there's animals. And we don't even, like, I don't know how precise he was whenever he spoke. You know, was he like, there's goldfish and now there's Nemo fish and now there's whales? You know, like, was he like name them individually, or did he just say, let there be fish? You know, and then just like his creative mind created all of them, which is fun to think about. But he created all of those like just by speaking. But whenever he came to humans, he like got down in the dirt and like physically created us and designed us and then breathed into us. And so like he put humans in charge of animals. Like, hey, now you rule the earth. Like he gave something that's special to humans. And so I guess to me that's kind of where I'm thinking about with souls. And then also just recently I was reading about Noah, and post flood, God told Noah that he could eat animals like after the flood. And I don't know if that was, anyways, we can get into that more later, I guess, if we want to talk about vegetarianism or not. Like if it was just like a temporary command, but like I don't really feel that God would be like, hey, you can kill those things with souls. You know what I mean? Because like he specifically told humans don't kill each other. Like that's like one of the 10, right?
But that was after Noah too.
Right. Yeah. But like it's always been a rule of don't kill each other.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's okay to kill the animals, you know, at least for a period of time, you know, that it, you know, as it's necessary. But
Well, because I mean, I think that could also be argued for a point of, I guess, like the importance food chain on Earth. You know, because like I think God has clearly said like humans are at the top, like people are at the top, and then animals are beneath. And I'm just wondering, because I'm thinking, you know, the Earth, it's completely flooded, like every square inch of it, like there wasn't mountains or anything even.
right.
So like there wouldn't be any vegetation to eat.
But there was still that fig branch that
But that was after the waters had started.
yeah.
So like for a time, like everything was covered. So that basically means no plant could have lived, because plants need air, albeit not for the oxygen, but you know, they still need air. So it could have. I mean, it would make a whole lot of sense to me for it to be a temporary thing. Hey, until the earth regrows,
Yeah.
you can eat these animals.
why do we always refer to Noah's 40 days and 40 nights as actual days? Do you think it could have been 40 years?
Okay, how old was he when he made the ark?
Well, and also a lot of the
Specifies
days.
his age before and after.
Is it different?
Well, like, so yeah, like he was in the ark like a year, like from start of rain, door closing, like a week before rain, door closing, and then he was in there 40 days and 40 nights with rain, like falling, and then, man, like we have to look it up, but it was approximately a year that they were in the ark, because then he had his birthday and they ended up taking off the roof of the ark. And it was
Why don't they say that though?
It does.
Then why don't we teach it in school? Like,
Because
or
it's a
not
lot
school,
easier
but
to say 40 days and 40 nights.
but then
Well,
you
because
have
that's
a
how long it rained. Is it rained for 40 days and 40 nights?
Yeah,
Well,
but
they
then you
were-
learn differently the Bible story. Like you learn something different than what's actually like.
Yeah, but it's also a lot easier. It's like saying to kids, like, "Oh, DNA makes you who you are," but then, like, are you really going to blame the teacher for not getting in on to all the proteins that read it, make the DNA, fold the protein, or not make the DNA, but make the proteins, fold the proteins, make the cell? Like, it's just a whole complicated process, and it's a lot easier just to say the DNA is what makes you you. And I mean, it's still technically true, but it's not the
It's not
full
the full truth.
answer. Yeah.
So they're just giving like a brief. Yes, is basically what happened.
If anything, I think it's just the story of Noah's not talked about much. I mean, for good or bad.
Yeah, we've been on.
I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
What's the next question?
I think we're gonna wrap it up
Oh,
there.
what is
It's almost 40 minutes. I think.
Just like say the next question.
Say the next question,
Just
but
in
we're not
case
gonna
one-
do the
This
next
is
question.
for you guys at home,
This
for you to
this
think
one's
about.
for
Yeah,
you guys
this
at
is-
home.
Answer in the comments below.
Yeah.
Um,
Not that we'll
does
respond to them,
Engage us
but you should.
and press that like
And
button.
if you like what we
enjoyed.
did today, also
press that like button.
also comment below. Be like,
What's the question?
Two
I like
separate
what you guys
comments.
did today. So
It's still on you.
I know, and I'm waiting for them to like. Okay, so
anyways, if
does free will really exist? Is the question that I want you guys to answer in the.
no, this place is a
Just answer yes or
simulation.
no.
It's
Just
all
answer yes or
fake.
no. Go, Sean. Yes or no?
No, because this place is simulation. Guys, trust me. I've
That's
seen
it. It's
the
a yes or no
I've
question.
seen the fourth
Yes
dimension.
Or no?
No.
The fourth dimension is actually a spaceship. It's a simulation.
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on, what was the question again?
Does free will really exist?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So comment below if you agree with Faith or the rest of us.
The girl or the guys? No, I'm just
Comment
kidding.
below
Come on,
whether
then,
you
guys.
agree with us or if you're wrong.
Okay.
Just
Anyways,
kidding. Moving on.
thank you guys for watching.
April
We love
Fools,
you.
guys. This
We
is
love-
actually
we-
all a joke, and so is the world. It's all a simulation.
Okay,
Fourth
stop
dimension
pushing your
confirmed.
propaganda.
We love you, and we're glad that you are supporting us. Tell your friends about us. Tell your family about us.
Like, share, and subscribe.
True.
Like, share,
Comment.
and subscribe.
And comment below.
Also, I guess moral of the story today: God is powerful and works in strange ways that we may never be able to comprehend. Thought I'd just give it a moral,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
but yeah. And Sean is trying to push his propaganda.
It's a
So-
simulation.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Oh, and sorry about we didn't even explain why we're doing this Wednesday night versus Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Suri's son is graduating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's graduating
Graduating
from
from
graduating college. I mean,
Kindergarten, woot woot.
Woo.
Anyways,
2 years of your life.
be safe, be smart, stay healthy, pray to Jesus,
Amen.
drink lots of water. Have a good night.
Hug each other, and also
Bye.
don't hug other people you don't know because that's weird.
Wear red and that makes
Stranger
it stop.
danger.